Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today we've hit episode number 9. Number nine. Hey, like let's not beat around the bush here. Let's just get cracking in here. We've got the old team back together. First and foremost, let's welcome Catherine back. Hi, Catherine. How you going?
I'm tense.
You're tense?
I'm tense.
You feeling tense?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Goodness me. And joining us, a guy who's been bashing down the podcast door to get on this show, like he's been hanging out the front of the ISB, trying to cut people off as they're walking in.
Oh, mate.
Back, the old Celebration House crew's back together from 3 Men and a Baby Yoda. It's that guy, Matt Mole. How you going, mate?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. I'm so happy to be here because for the last 4 weeks, it's been like you've been, 8:25. You're gonna make it? I go, no, I'm in trouble. Kid did a poo in the bath. That just ruined the night.
It wasn't a joke. I didn't just make that up. That was a real message that came across. He's like,
that's exactly what happened, and that derailed my night. And yeah, and then daylight saving and my kid, he started going to bed at 8:40, and we just couldn't get him off this cycle, and it was just a nightmare. But I have begged for the night off. I have watched it. I'm ready to go. I've been listening. I'm pumped to be here. It's good to see you guys. I've missed you guys.
Oh, we've missed you too. No poo in the bath is gonna ruin you tonight.
Definitely not.
So here we are, episode 9, guys, of Andor, called Nobody's Listening. The slogan of this podcast. I'm sure I won't be the first person to make that joke, but
me in a classroom. Yeah, nobody's listening.
I with the exclamation point too. Yeah, you sent me a message, Matt, sort of earlier saying like I'm good to go, like I'm ready to watch, and you just had a screenshot of the episode not starting, but had the description on it, and I'm like, is that really what it's called? Like, it seemed like such a weird sort of. I mean, it makes total sense in the episode, but with the exclamation point, it seemed a little bit sort of. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. I thought I spoiled it for you too, Josh. I was just like, because Deidre was on the Avatar, and I was like, oh, she must have uncovered everything, and nobody's listening to her. And then, as I was watching through the thing, and he says it, I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. So, it was a good episode.
Very much the same sort of. What's the word I'm looking for? Same template. It probably seems a little unfair of like the previous sort of part 2 and the 3 parts of the other ones. Of this is like all the pieces moving, the tensions ramping up. You don't so much get a conclusion to anything. It's just more exacerbating the situation that everybody's in.
Yeah. Oh my god, this episode, I think. I could have done a video reaction because, I was like on the edge of my seat.
So much happened.
Hiding my face. I recorded myself afterwards. Ixor just swears. Yeah, I'm just swearing my head off. Like, oh my God.
I mean,
so tense.
The first thing we've got to address here, and I don't know if anybody else noticed it, was like how casual like Dr. Torture was, where he's all just like, "Hello, I can't wait to work.
So friendly,
can't wait
creepy.
to work with you." Like,
here's a story about how I tested it on children. Didn't go so well.
Yeah. So we had all these battle-hardened, communications officers. They were hiding under a bench, and we've made it work. So see how you go.
Thumbs up for us. Yeah, so we do start off with Bix. We basically pick up exactly where we left off, Last Jedi style, and Bix and Deirdre. Is that right, Deirdre?
Yeah.
Deirdre Miro.
Are facing off in the room, and there was the line about catching the fish, which I think was in one of the trailers.
It was in the trailer. It's one of my favorite lines. It's like, "Are you a fish or are you a thief?" I was like, yes! Love that line. Finally got it. And some context as to what it means, because I was like, when we were watching the trailer, I think you were saying, what's this fish thief stuff?
Yeah. to her credit, Bix, she decided to stick it out. I mean, did anybody think that the old Imperial probe like torture droid was going to, bop, 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 bop?
Yeah, with big syringe.
Oh, I thought maybe we'd get a ball gullet, but
my God. Ball gullet, what's the truth? Chris Halls is way better than mine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just have to laugh every time Bor Gullet's name is just mentioned. I love Rogue One, but I laugh.
This feels like Bor Gullet Mark II. Like the Empire have kind of moved past Bor Gullet. They've kind of... So, what exactly was this thing? Was it a recording or something that they were playing? Was it like a recording of a massacre or something? Is that what it was?
Basically Dr. Gorse's scary headphones, like, and basically it plays a noise in your ear, and the more you listen to it, the more damage it gives you, or it's some sort of audio torture.
Yeah, so it's the sound of, the massacre, all these people screaming, and that's what sent those communications officers, just cowering in fear, and then they've isolated what they think are like the children screaming and amplified it to just torture.
Pretty dark.
Yeah.
That was probably the darkest, most intense moment in the show of a lot of intense moments that we've had so far.
It's like Tony Gilroy or Bo Williamson, who wrote it, was just like, okay, what's the most evil thing I can think about? Because I can put that in this show because it's not quote unquote, real life. I can just go completely evil.
Well, I think you had tweeted something out, Catherine, because I always watch your Andor tweets. There was an interview with the lady who plays Deirdre, and she was a bit like, we didn't want you to root for her just because she's a woman in a man's world kind of getting it done. We actually wanted you to realize that she's just as evil as the rest of them. So mission accomplished on that one, everybody.
Oh, yeah, this episode did it. Like, oh my God.
She's ruthless, absolutely ruthless. Like her level of questioning and reasoning, it was almost, Thrawn-like, the way she just scares the room.
It's not all about Thrawn, mate.
I know it's not about Thrawn, but the way she addressed the room was very powerful, and then like she's talking to her officer who goes, I'm going to hang the other one. He's like, yeah, whatever, go for it. See ya. I'm out of here. Like, they are the worst of the worst, the ISB. This is the German Secret Service.
Yeah, and then at the end, with the other, captured pilot, she's basically, just kill him.
I know. I thought I was hoping they're going to show him. I thought maybe we'd get a little cameo.
Yeah, like she's just.
She's a character. She's a really good character.
Yeah.
So we get a whole good fun bit of torture scenes, kind of interspersed with we're back at the prison. The routine is kind of going on, and we kind of early on we already get that Cassian's got his little scheme on.
Yes.
I mean, we kind of wondered last week whether it would be an impetus coming from the outside, but it seems like he's been thinking about ways of getting out pretty much the moment he walked in.
Yeah, he's been taking things in from the moment he walked in, and obviously he's not the only one. And it was really interesting to see how most other people in that room as well are in on what's happening. And even the people who don't really want a bar of it don't like telling him. They knew what he was doing when he was going to the refresher.
What was he doing in there? Because I saw, I'm getting Shawshank style pipe cutting vibes there. But, what's he scratching on the pipe for? Do you think, Catherine?
I think to basically force maintenance to come in.
Okay.
Because then, they'll have techs coming down on the little elevator, and maybe they can. Well,
he made a point saying when he's sort of whispering with the other bloke, like it seems like the things that move basically aren't electrified. So that's sort of points that you can get to where you're not going to get a shock if you can get to them, basically.
Yeah. And they were clocking that the guards that were coming down, they didn't have boots on, which I'd clocked the previous week. And obviously, they've been talking with other tables. And what's also interesting is that communication between like the little bridges is not just like the one guy. It's there was a few of them, and it's like a well-known passing on messages that even I just want to call him Andy Serkis is aware of.
Serkis,
Is it Keno? Keno?
Yeah, Keno.
Wednesday Keno. Monday Keno.
Sunday Keno and Deidre Chambers.
Open up the that was a nickname in primary school, but let's not go there. I hated it. That he sort of condoned the passing of messages in a way.
Well, that kind of fits into that no one's listening. That it's sort of it's almost kind of left to those sort of floor managers to keep them all in line and stuff.
Yeah.
And Cassian's a bit just like, well, what are you even bothering for? They're not even bothering listening to us. But he's just like, they're all so paranoid they want to get out that it's kind of like, it's kind of left to the Andy Serkises to keep them in line when Cassian's like, they're not listening to us. I don't care. They think they built a perfect system. You can't break it. It doesn't really matter. Like, talk all you want kind of thing. It doesn't really matter. But he's trying to sort of break that mindset of like, they're always hearing all our conversations, blah, 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 blah.
They're so arrogant.
So we do jump around a little bit. We don't get any Luthen in this episode. We do get back to the Mon Mothma household. And she's just like, oh, poor Mon Mothma. Everybody is tuning out of her speeches.
Boo! Mon Mothma's getting booed at the Senate.
I know. She's like bombing at the Comics Lounge or something. She's like trying to do a tight five.
Yeah, it's heads down on the desks while you're teaching them. Jeez, like I'm not drawing from personal experience there.
But it must be with the title though. Nobody's listening. She's
it's just there as well. Senate. Yeah, and it's literally not just like they go and start checking their phones. They actually like switch off their pod, which I assume is where the sound comes through because you can't. You know, I assume it doesn't pipe. I never really thought about it. I guess in the prequels, it's kind of implied that it's like a booming voice that goes around the whole chamber, but it's probably more just piped into your pods directly. That probably makes more sense.
In Senate, though, like the pod has a translator from basic to the alien language, so you turn off the translation.
But you still wouldn't be able to hear her. Like, it's still just a local speaker, I imagine. Like, I'm sure when Palpatine's in the middle doing, like, the Galactic Empire, he's probably got it on, override, everyone has to listen kind of thing. But they're just like, boring.
Unmute
yeah, it's literally like got the mute sign on the Zoom, but they could just say that they're muting her. So she sort of feels like she's in a losing battle there. And then we get the little twist of the episode where Cousin Val just turns up.
And we had a little conversation on this, Catherine? Because once I saw Vel in the trailer and Vel on the mission, we had a little exchange and was like, do you think it's a daughter or?
Yeah, you thought it was her daughter, and I poo-pooed you and.
Poo-pooed you like a poo in the bath.
Yep.
Oh, well, I went to my Andor resident and I got poo-pooed, but I'll take cousin, daughter, same thing.
Cousin Larry. Yep.
Well, in House of the Dragon, yes, cousin daughter is the same thing.
Yes.
Not in Andor.
Anything with a hot D.
No, there's just teenage, arranged marriages in Andor.
Yeah.
So that was quite a funny little twist. So now we kind of know the three people that know what she's up to effectively, which is Luthen, Val, and what's her name? Claire.
Yeah, Claire. But so at this stage, do we think Bail not know or?
I don't know. We haven't really heard from Bail.
Yeah, and it really has surprised me that we haven't even have a Bail name drop. I know Tony doesn't go for Easter eggs, but
Easter is that Easter eggs all
but they're not like season. They're not like clang in your face kind of
No.
them. So what was the name of the? When they said that they caught the pilot and he was working for someone, it sounded
he was working for Anton Krieger.
That's
who was the one from the last episode.
Oh, that Luthen
who they're
was
trying to connect Saw Gerrera with.
Yeah, that's his boy. There we go.
I'm so glad I made it tonight. That's my key input.
Because I heard the name and I'm like, he didn't say Grief Karga, and I'm like, no, that can't be right. It wasn't. What's his name from Mandalorian? It wasn't.
Mando's boss.
Yeah, I've just forgotten the actor. I can't believe I've forgotten the actor's name.
Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers, of course. Yeah. No, it wasn't Carl Weathers. That would be a little bit off brand for Carl. But so effectively, and And they have dinner with the daughter and the husband, the dumbass husband's like, "Oh, well, you're gonna go find yourself a husband," And Mothma shoots a look, so obviously she knows what the deal is for real.
Yeah, typical parent just being a C-bomb.
Thank you for censoring yourself. I don't have to don't have to edit that out. But I was actually surprised how kind of openly they were talking about it in Mon Mothma's house. I guess. Because there's always like a servant or somebody around in the background skulking around, but
yeah, we didn't see any. But I mean, they weren't open, but definitely coded in what they were saying. They were careful because they didn't even mention Luthen's name.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, did she assume that she did the Adani job? Do you think she even knows that much?
I don't think she knew because she asked him, "What's he got you doing?" And she's just like, I'm doing my shit. Don't worry about me.
I'm traveling.
And and yeah, I could really feel the tension from Mon saying, "What are we in here for?"
Yeah,
a bit overwhelmed by the situation.
It was quite a good little twist, actually. I did quite like that. That who got who into what? Did she get Mon Mothma on board, or vice versa, or did she catch wind of what Mon Mothma was up to, and she's like, "Hey, I want a bit of adventure and excitement, and I want to kick against the pricks," sort of stuff. But yeah,
well, I mean, it's very possible that
it just seems weird that two people that close would be connected without one of them coming through the other one. That's all.
I feel like Luthen maybe hired Vel with the intention of getting her on side and then getting an introduction to Mon Mothma, maybe using one to get to the other.
That sounds very Luthen.
It does.
Or is it Luthen pulling the strings all along? Is he just the front man? Is it really Kleya who's the brains of the operation?
Well, what about the comment she made? You took a vow. Who did she take a vow with?
Ooh. Yeah.
Like, what was this? It was a Rebel Alliance vow? Like,
just like Scouts Honor kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like...
Blood vow.
Because like you said, Tony Gilroy doesn't just chuck shit in there for no reason. That'll definitely, or may hopefully, come back with some sort of context.
Yep. Yeah. No, that was quite fascinating. Do you get a lot of nice luxurious shots of the house too? Like normally you just get those party shots and things, and it's like, oh wow, we got a nice look at the house without anybody in it.
The house looked very empty without that party scene going on. It's so big and luxurious,
and very nice blue velvet chairs.
Yep,
yep,
and
very fancy.
And the dress that Lita got, very nice.
Yeah,
that kid is such a brat.
Nah, she's just a teenage kid. She's
Dad lets me wear whatever I want.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a burn.
That kid's
whatever, Mom. Yeah, she's. And then we get what's his name's back again, the ex-boyfriend,
Tay,
who's sort of poo-pooing the her accounting, shoddy accounting. Basically, should have gone to Matt Mull Financial Services and had a word to him.
I've got to say, I'm loving the fact that we've got private bankers in this.
Like it's my way in.
Finally, it makes me so happy. I mean, I don't deal as much with gangsters, but he's really trying to cook the books here, and he's like all good bankers, he's trying to come back with solutions. Okay, don't tell me what you can't do, tell me what you can do. So his advice is borrow it from Davo Skolden, the loan shark,
from the
thug.
Well, you said he was the wealthiest man on the planet, didn't he? But he was
wealthiest thug on the planet. So
was it wealthiest
like mafia?
Right. So yeah. Bit of a shady character. So we might get some good British character actor appearance or something. If that, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming we'll see him if they're saying that he wants to come to the house. So we might see some shady looking bloke turning up, which would be fun.
I'm just picturing now like Tony Soprano or Paulie Warnock's turning up.
Who would you?
Michael Imperioli, Christopher. He could turn up. Come on.
I was thinking more British gangsters. I thought you get like your Vinnie Jones or someone like that. Like, what you want money from me, you muppet?
Vinnie Jones and stuff. We had Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
So Vinnie Jones could not.
Vinnie Jones has been in the MCU. Oh, well, not the MCU, and like he was in
X-Men?
Yeah, that was he was in the X-Men universe. So, all right, that's what I'm banking my money. My money's going on Vinnie Jones. Maybe we'll see next week who he turns out to be. What else did we get? What happened?
What about?
Well, let's just check in with poor old.
Of Coruscant. Now we go to the poor side. The residential housing of Cyril and his mum, and the cereal's back, the Fruit Loops.
Yeah, well, I think he's probably still lower middle class. Really, he's still in the housing. So his mum is absolutely like, again,
she's a piece of work.
She gets worse every time. She's absolutely.
But then the minute he goes, oh, by the way, I got promoted, everything's just, she stopped being a C-bomb. And then she's like, oh, I love you again.
Yeah.
Uncle Harlow will be so proud.
Bloody Uncle Harlow.
That woman.
And then you've been going through my room. And then she's like, oh, well, I've got to clean. He's like, yeah, you went through my private box. I can find out. She's probably just like, well, the kind of crap that I found in that box, mate. Bunch of nudie magazines with Cassian Andor's face pasted on the front or something like that. Or
I don't think it would be Cassian.
Well, I don't think it'll be Cassian's face anymore. No, someone's got to crash. Someone's crushing.
Now we're getting to the bit that I think I reacted the strongest to.
The stalking?
This was when I was blankets up, hiding my face, just like going, no, stop talking, stop.
Do you want to? My note here says Cyril has no game, because that was just that was next level creepy.
Oh man!
Oh my god!
And he backed it up with even creepier words as well.
I mean, we all know he's a little. We all know he's a bit weird and he's a creep and he's driven and stuff. But I think we'd sort of spoken earlier on, like, maybe he will see the light and turn. And he might be an asset. But I think he's gone down a corner now where he sort of seems just like he's got a screw loose more than anything else. That's what I'm kind of feeling. There's no redemption for Cyril now.
He's a little bit unhinged, and that was just odd and full on, and then he just backed it up by saying, this is not the first day I've been here. I've actually been here every day this week or something, like just waiting for you to walk past. I'm like, oh my god.
And Deirdre's just like, good God, take your hand away from my arm. Get away from me. Get away from me. Like, why didn't she break his nose right then? Like,
you've got a new obsession in town now, basically.
Oh.
I did not see that being a path they would kind of go down. I thought maybe he was just going to go back looking for a job, or maybe now that they've sort of managed to piece that Cassian Andor is playing a part in all of this, or at least they think that he is, that Cyril might become useful again. But it's, I don't know. Where does he go from here? Does he just go further down the rabbit hole?
I think the only real chance to redeem himself in Deidre's eyes is if they sort of find a recording of Luthen's voice, and then she can go to him and say, because he goes, I remember his voice, and she can go to him and say, well, make yourself useful. Is this him? And if he identifies, then she might say, stick around and let's go hunting for Cassian Andor, which he'll say yes to. And
well, I think I think it basically implies that he's burnt that bridge with the ISB. I don't think the obsession with Andor's going to stop, but it just means he can't go to the ISB anymore. He has to go solo. Like, he's basically got to go solo now. Like, they're not going to help him. He's creeped him out too much. So if
does he have to go rogue?
Well, no, I think he actually really will go rogue. Like, I think he will pursue this and probably stumble or get some information and won't be able to go to the ISB. They'll just be like, "Nah, you're a nut bar," and he will inadvertently maybe even warn Andor somehow or save Andor, because the ISB will consider him a threat, or consider him, they don't want to have anything to do with him. Like, he's got to a point where he might just inadvertently end up helping Andor without even realizing it. By not being able to get key information or doing something stupid, he could probably get himself killed in the meantime.
I don't know. I think as creepy as Cyril was, he's had so much focus for this entire show. Like, how many episodes are you in? 9. I'd say he's been in at least 6 of them. I I don't think they're going to write it. It's going to write him off from the show.
No, I don't think they'll write him off at all. No, I think the opposite. No, I think he'll become integral. He's integral to whatever happens at the end of this series. I just think that he'll be doing it on his own. He's not going to be just teaming up with the ISB now. Like, it's implied that he's burnt that bridge, basically. Like, he's just creeped them out. They're not, even if he manages to, like, be in a lift and then Luthen's in the lift with him and he recognizes his voice, he's like, oh my God, I realize who it is. And he tries to go back there like, you get the hell out of here, you creep master. We don't want anything to do with you. So then he's like, might follow Luthen somewhere and get himself, end up in the mess somehow, but not with the help of the ISB. So. No, not.
I think Deidre's so eyes on the prize that she'll let the creep in a slide if it's going to get her promoted.
Nah, because I think now she thinks he'll just say anything because he wants to get in on it, whether the information's true or not.
Yeah, that he wants to impress her, so she's like, just
now. I think that your goal is to impress me and not to catch Cassian. Like, you'll just say anything. But goodness me, Cyril.
Yep.
And again, it's another thing of where it's like, we talked about Deidre before being like, oh no, we just realize that she's just a terrible person. And there's nothing really to root for. And I think before with Cyril, it's like, well, he's a jerk, but he's got a tough, his mum rides him and blah, blah, blah. But now it's like, well, now he's kind of irredeemable. But it's almost like sort of making these characters more clear that they're sort of a bit more less grey and more...
It's that Mitchell and Webb sketch of, are we the baddies?
Yeah, I think they're the baddies. Well, someone who's not a baddie, great segue, Andy Serkis coming back for the win.
Yeah.
I agree. It was he wasn't having a bar of it. And then I had to watch this bit twice because, he's been staunch company man or jail man. And Andor's just like, come on, give us some information. And then, so do you not understand what happened on 2 now?
So it seems like that somebody got released.
Yeah.
And then they went and put him back into the system.
Yeah.
And then they saw him and everybody lost their shit because they're like, didn't he just get released? So I don't know where they put him right. Did they put him, he was on 4. He was supposed to get released.
So the man was released on 4 and then they said it was a mistake. So man was released on 4 and ended up back on 2 the next day. Word got out and they killed them all.
Yeah. They fried them all.
Yeah.
And everyone who thought the machinery going around, getting assembled and disassembled was too dark. This is darker.
Yeah, this is darker.
Yes. But I debunked that theory, Catherine. The Empire has labor camps with Wookiees, with everyone. They don't waste labor. Those parts are integral for something.
Well, they did say there was a point of just saying, like, we do this because it's cheaper than droids, basically.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be doing it just for the mental gymnastics of, of killing those guys' morale.
Yeah.
So yeah,
if word got out that, oh hey, I was disassembling this part the other day, and now I'm assembling this part. Yeah.
Well, again, it's another thing of like, somebody got told that they were going home, and they just ended up straight back into this. Somebody spotted them again on another floor, and the word got out. So they fried them all because basically now it's a tipping point where it's like, Andy Serkis is going, I've only got 200 shifts to go, so everybody sit down, shut up, and do your work so I can get the hell out of here. And now it's like, well, you're not getting out, so...
And
no one's getting out now.
Yeah, the way he was talking to Olaf was, like kind and gentle's not quite right, but it's that encouraging, he's not mean to him, not yelling at him for being sick, whatever. He's like, you can do it. Come on, you can make it. You've only got 40 shifts. You can make it through there. And when Olaf collapses in the bridge, he's calling the med, taking care of him, trying to talk him through it, and he's just horrified when he realizes
that they're just going to off him. They're just like euthanize him.
Euthanized, yeah.
Yeah, and he realizes we are just in the machine. And
well, the medical guy is just like, well, he's lucky actually. He's not going to feel it. He's not going to get fried to death, basically.
Yeah.
Didn't you love how Cassian went straight to the point, got shut down, and then the medic or the doctor guy was sort of just leaving snippets of open-ended statements like, oh, he's good that he's being put to rest. Trust me, there's worse to come, and then. Kino, Andy Serkis, Snoke, whatever you want to call him, sort of just like catching on. Go, wait a second, what?
Yeah.
What happened?
Just waiting for the guard to get out of earshot.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's like, oh fuck, this is just we are stuck here and we're never getting out. There's no point even counting down the shifts. I'm going to be here forever.
Yeah, and it was funny because he was like, straight away he was like 11, never more than 12. Like he's actually thought about. Like he even says Cassian saying, like, haven't you thought about trying to escape? Blah blah blah. And he's just like, shut up. Don't even don't even talk about it. I don't want to start entertaining that. I just want to get through my shifts and get it done. And now it's
I think I've read somewhere during the week that Kino had been like I don't want to say union organizer, but like he'd been a manager of a factory or something. So he'd been taking care of the working man or working people, even before he got into prison. And really his actions in today's episode were that, yes, he's strict on them, but really he's taking care of them. He's making sure that they're taking care of everyone. Well, for his thought, he wants everyone to get out.
Yeah.
And
he wants as many of them to get out as possible, basically.
Yeah. And so the thought that, it's all for naught, everyone's just in here forever.
Until they effectively drop dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is just too much.
Do you reckon that we'll see Vel and Cinta trying to bust Andor out? Do you think this is an inside job now? It's not going to be in any outside forces? Inside job.
I think so. I think they're already planning their escape in some shape or form. Like I feel like it's such a impenetrable fortress from the outside that you can only get out from the inside.
Well, it kind of feels like you need to take over the whole place to do it. Like I don't know whether you could just get 2 people out and like steal a ship and get out of there. It feels like you have to shut the whole system down and kind of bust everybody out, or at least take over the facility, and then get everybody on a cruiser and get out of there or something. I don't know. Like, I think there is a shot or two in the trailer of you can kind of see people moving suddenly in one of those hallways and things. I mean, it doesn't really tell you anything, but it's curious because like you said, the whole thing about nobody's listening. So now is it just like, hey, we're just going to start openly talking more about this because what's the worst that can happen? Like, it doesn't make any difference.
Now 49 people will start working together with the sole goal of escaping.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing. Like, I remember from last week's episode when he first got in, there was, I don't know how many octagons. There's like 4 or so. Like there was like in the ocean, there was multiple prisons. Like this is a huge setup.
Yeah,
it's massive. Like the cost to do this would be enormous. I can't believe they'd set all this up for the perp and then not gain any industrial.
You're still talking about
I didn't say they wouldn't use any of the parts. That it's just. Did they have to use all of them? Like
all of them.
Waste not, want not.
The Empire really cares about waste.
So it does feel like we already obviously know that Melshi makes it out of the prison one way or the other. Yeah. So we know that there's at least one other person. I mean, I don't like the chances. It's making me care about Andy Serkis now, which doesn't bode well.
Noble sacrifice, you think, for the rest of his men?
I don't know. It just, they set him up to knock him down. I don't think there'll be a heel turn like Screen or whatever his name was, but I feel like who knows, he may not make it out, but who knows? It could be the bones of a bunch of good rebels in there.
How do you think Andy Serkis ended up on this show? I'd really love to just hypothesize because he's been in Star Wars already, but he wasn't himself, which is fine. I don't know how did they get him to do TV? I mean, he's such a good actor. He's such a good character actor.
He's been in Marvel stuff, so he's got a relationship with Disney before, and obviously he's been in Star Wars. He probably just got, who knows, they might have just been like, it'd be good for this role, Andy Serkis. Let's just give him a call. He's in Britain. He's British. He's probably just hanging out.
And he does lots of television. Yeah.
You just pop down for a couple of days. You get more screen time than you got as Snoke, and it doesn't matter if you played Snoke or you played another character. Star Wars is full of people in masks who turn up without their masks on, playing different characters later on. So,
yeah, I'm pretty sure he was in like that Guy Pearce Christmas Carol that was last year. Could be dreaming that, and then he was years ago in an Oliver Twist. He was Bill Sykes. Like very scary Bill Sykes. I mean, Bill Sykes is always scary. But am I just talking about things that neither of you know anything about?
I know. I know what like Oliver Twist is, so I am familiar with that. Yeah. Oh, look, it's a good get. Well, that's why I'm thinking, Vinnie Jones next week as the local the shady gangster. But I don't think he's long for this world, this character. I just feel like big name actor, probably wouldn't be back for another series, just doing an extended cameo, has redeemed himself in this episode as a bloke that kind of cares. Feels like he's going to get a couple of boxes to the back or whatever it is. Like poor old, what's his name?
Nemec.
Poor old Nemec.
Nemec, crushed by the money. Oh, that was rough. And I had the exact same thing as you, Josh. When I watched it on the second time and he was having a go, I was like, I can't sleep. And then Andor said, you'll sleep after this. And then I saw like, oh, no. That one hit hard.
Did either of you guys watch it with the subtitles on? It feels like this is an episode that probably has there's a lot of little things that got missed speaking.
I always watch the subtitle. Well, my wife's, Spanish-speaking native, and so relies on the subtitles just to help any age she can.
Yeah.
But I ended up watching it. I feel like you catch more as well.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like I'll probably have to go back and watch it with the subtitles to pick up on little drops and things that they just sort of, had in between some of those ISB conversations and stuff like that. So, right. Well, I think it's pretty clear that there's going to be a crack at a prison break next week. And I don't think there's any sort of dispute whether it'll be somewhat successful, whether they all make it out or whether it's just Andor and Melshi or however it ends up being. But it's not so much about the what happens, it's how it happens. So I think we can sort of guarantee that. Do you reckon it might be a little bit sort of contained? We'll just concentrate on this, or I reckon we'll be cutting back to some of the other characters as well?
Well, I think we've got to see something about on the ISB because they've set up that trap.
Yep.
Yeah, well, what's her name?
So that was interesting. Marva. So it was like, take the ship, make sure it looks like it's been crashed, and the pilot's dead.
Yeah.
Is that so? They'll come for the body, but they won't think that we've killed him, kind of thing.
Well, I think because they're obviously aware of what prominent rebels are out there. Saw Gerrera, Anto Krieger. And now they have this rebel pilot. They're not aware of the fact that he's been
compromised,
captured. But if they did, they just write him off or whatever. They sort of just... I mean, they're using everything as bait. They're using Marva as bait. This guy will be bait. That it needs to look like he's died either of natural causes or...
So they don't pack up shop and go somewhere else kind of thing.
Yeah, to try to catch them. Yeah, and I noticed that I think... What they said was he was on his way to Catherine. So I was like, ooh, Ring of Catherine,
yeah.
It's amazing that no one found that secret rebel base on Yavin sooner, given how many hundreds of people were there. There's like 12 rebels in this, and they, one or two gets captured, and they almost get busted right away. I guess they just get smarter.
When you saw Narkina 5 for the first time, I actually thought that was Yavin 4. Like it had the planet outline. I was like, oh, Yavin. Oh, Narkina. Okay.
Sorry, just a little planet.
Prison planet.
So we've got. I mean, Cinta's still in the hands of the ISB, so they're basically just using her as bait now. They did drop.
No.
Bix. Sorry, not Cinta. Sorry, getting my names. I forgot who I was talking to. Characters' names. And they basically said that we're just keeping an eye on Andor's mum. She's leveraged. She's
under full surveillance.
She's an old lady. She's not going nowhere. We'll pull that lever when we need to. Basically.
Yeah.
I think that they'll figure out that Cassian Andor is at the prison and in their thing. They'll start sort of hurling towards there to get him as the prison break's occurring and it'll just be some high intensity mayhem sort of. I don't know, some huge conclusion. Like it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I kind of feel like the conclusion of all of this, at least this series, all these things will converge at a certain point, whether that's the event that they're talking about, the job that Luthen was trying to get Saw Gerrera to do, or something else where they're all all the characters are all be involved in one way or another and sort of play their part in how this is going to play out. And, we know there's another season to go, so it doesn't necessarily mean it'll be a happy ending or anything. It might just be somewhat of a conclusion before we get to the next thing.
Well, that's the thing. Do you think there's enough time for a prison break / another, rebel mission? They normally like to set those up over 2 to 3 episodes. I feel like we might only get the prison break, because I feel like they'll put a lot of time into the planning of the escape, and I don't know.
No, I reckon by the end of this episode, by the end of next week's episode, Cassian will be out of that prison.
Yeah.
But the question will be, where does he go? What does he do? Who can he trust? He can't go home. Now the Empire's looking for him. Now the rebels are looking for him. Like, where does he turn, basically? I think that's, he can't just
He's
go.
got to get Nemik's manifesto wherever you left that.
Where's that? That's going to be still the top of the shower of his hotel room.
Does he risk going back for the money, or does he stuff the money? I don't care about it anymore. Or has somebody else found it? Or does he, does the revolution happen back on his home planet? Does he go back there and just be like, all right, revolution starts at home. They've got your mum. They've got your ex-girlfriend. Where does it all go down?
Yeah.
Wow. That's intense. I have a question for you, Catherine.
Yeah.
And I know you probably gutted that we're not getting 5 seasons now. We're getting 2 seasons.
Oh my God.
Are you a tad worried that they're going to try and rush 4 years into 12 episodes when they've been moving at such an amazingly slow pace here, but dense and rich?
I do feel, I don't know if worried is the right word, because they've proven themselves to be, very capable, but you're right in that the pace of this season has been, I think, excellent. It's moved at speeds when it's had to. It's had little time jumps, but we've been able to explore every character and get to know every character and really have that character growth, even for people who aren't Cassian Andor. And next season, with the 3 episodes covering a year, we're not going to get as granular. Worried isn't the right word. I feel like concerned. Like it's that. Oh, come on! Like the 5 seasons, mate. Just do it, because it's going to be. I feel like we're missing out on such good television in them doing this that way.
Problem with 5 seasons is it's such a huge commitment, and everyone's getting famous and doing amazing jobs, and then they're going to have other roles come up to them, and they go, oh, I want to branch out and do my art and stuff. So
I know in 2 seasons it could be perfect.
I agree.
It could, I think we just keep faith in that they haven't put a foot wrong thus far. And like you said, it'll have to be done a little bit different, but I think it'll be more like, I'm pretty sure not everyone's going to make. We only know that Cassian and Mon Mothma are around at Rogue One.
And
Melshi. So that's, 3 out of maybe 10 primary, 3 out of maybe 10, 12 characters. So whether the story goes forward with those characters in the next series and people are or aren't involved, we don't even know yet. But I think it'll be less, maybe not character development, but maybe setting up those characters and just sort of picking them up and seeing where they go. And I don't know, I just kind of feel like I'd keep the faith in them. They've got it right so far.
Look, I am keeping the faith because it has been an amazing show. But it's that gushing feeling of, oh my God, like 5 seasons
could
of
have
this.
been?
We could have had 5 seasons of this style of show. Yeah, I mean,
it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because like they said 5, and I think however the decision was made to go down to 2 was probably a lot to do with pandemic and stuff like that, and they lost time and people had other.
That was Tony Gilroy. He said he just he couldn't commit to that kind of time frame.
I think once they sort of had done 1, they were like, "Oh my God, this is massive. This is really intense. Yeah, can we keep going at this?" And you're right, the pandemic probably messed up their timelines, especially initially.
Because it's all shot outside, so like...
Yeah. But look, we've still got 3 episodes to go after this. We've still got a lot of water under the bridge to go. We look forward to see what happens next. It's just... gotta like go sit down, relax, and try and come down off the top of it. But any closing thoughts, Matt, on this one? Okay, so I'll really end it like Pepper. I'm like, any closing thoughts, Matt, before you want to send it home? That's usually the catchphrase I say to Matt Frost.
Oh, I'm loving it. I love also like how they don't feel the need to every episode end on a cliffhanger. It sort of just peters out, and it leaves you actually wondering what's next. If anything, it doesn't allude to anything. It's just been really good. It's been refreshingly awesome. I'm incredibly happy for Catherine, and she's been gushing about this for the better part of 4 years, and it's come and it's been so different and so good. Like, it doesn't feel like Star Wars sometimes. It just feels like a gripping thriller, and then oh fuck, there's the ISB, great, and then oh look, TIE fighters, and then it's so good. I'm just mesmerized, captivated, but I am feeling that the Wednesdays are coming around so slowly now, without Rings of Power on Friday and then House of Dragon on Monday. Like, Wednesday to Wednesday is just brutal.
Yeah, the other ones have dropped off, haven't they? They're all done, and Andor's just keeping it together for the TV heads out there. Catherine, I think we know where you sit on all of this.
10 out of 10.
You got another week
11 out of 10.
Sit and stew on it.
Yeah, but you're right, Matt. It's this absolutely gripping drama that happens to be set in Star Wars.
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
And it wouldn't necessarily work on other shows. Like, I don't know if it's a formula that you can easily replicate for other Star Wars shows either. I think it really has to be very specific for this time.
Well, I mean, I've seen the sort of conversations on Twitter, and it's been very positive in that saying that, guys, I hope we don't when Mandalorian comes out, which was announced in February 22 today, by the way. When Mandalorian comes out, I don't want to see people complaining, oh, it's not in the Andor formula. Like, every show has its own formula. Let it run the way it needs to. This is what it is, and it's awesome. But don't complain that all the other shows aren't like this now. Like,
that's true. Well, it was just funny. Just like, we should very quickly touch on it. We're just winding up here, but like, Tales of the Jedi came out last week, like the same time as Andor, and it was quite funny to kind of watch that and go, oh yeah, that's like a completely different sort of Star Wars, which I quite enjoyed. I thought the Dooku stuff was really good. I thought the Ahsoka stuff was pretty by the numbers, and maybe just kind of like, I just know exactly how this is going to play out. It's just going to hit this beats. It feels like if you told me what this episode was, I'll tell you exactly how it's going to happen, and it pretty much exactly was like that. It's like, well, Ahsoka learned a lesson, and then she used the lesson later on, and then in this one, Ahsoka tried to hide her identity, and somebody found out who it was, and then it was fun. The Dooku stuff was more interesting, but it was just weird that it was like, oh, that was like lightsabers and very really extreme Star Warsy in a traditional sense, I think, which perfectly deserves to exist as much as anything else, and people, some people were loving all over it, and good on them. But
Tales of the Jedi, I missed that panel at Celebration, so I was coming in complete. But the Ahsoka stuff, it wasn't as gripping, but the Dooku stuff was so good in that it plugged so many holes. It was like, it just, it's like the Cypher Diaz moment, all of it. All of it was so good. And then the Yaddle and Dooku.
Pour one out for Yaddle. Sorry for anybody who hasn't watched it.
It was good. And it was different. And it was, it was cartoon, and it's more of the regular formula that we're used to. That's what Filoni's sweet spot is. And, although it was so funny, after it did seem like the Dave Filoni show, like directed by Dave Filoni, created by Dave Filoni, executive producer Dave Filoni, executive director Dave Filoni. I was like, all right, give someone else a credit now.
He's the Coca-Cola of Star Wars. If you feel like a nice cold can of Coke, you open it up, it's nice and bubbly, it's sweet, it tastes good, you know what you're getting. It doesn't normally disappoint, but it's just Coca-Cola. You've had it before. But very popular. There's my analogy. A can of Coca-Cola with a cowboy hat on it. All right, let's wrap this bad boy up. Catherine, any closing thoughts? Sorry, we sort of cut your thought there and we totally veered off.
Into the Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah. So on the Star Wars Underworld live stream a few days ago, somebody said I looked a little bit like Vel. So
cosplay.
Putting it out there, do I take a photo of her hair to my hairdresser to make it more Vel-like?
I thought you were going for the Deidre.
No, I can't do that.
You
I can't wear white.
Doing the bun.
You've seen me eat.
Well, that was the joke I made at the Scruffys, that when they had that lockdown and everyone had to stay in, that the catering would come and it would all be like Taco Tuesday, and they come out after being locked in all night and they've just got like tacos all over their tunics and stuff. Why not, I say. That sort of sweep down the thing.
Yep, and she was wearing a very cool coat with belt.
Or do you go action Val, or do you go like, high street Val?
Or you
could go
hair would be
Game
easier.
of Thrones Val, the waif.
Oh, the waif.
Yeah, the bob.
Nah, she's wearing a sack.
I can't wear a sack to celebration. It's London. It's gonna be cold. All right, let's round this off. Matt, 3 Men and a Baby Yoda podcast. Anything else you want to plug in addition to that? What else have you got bubbling away down there?
Not too much, mate. You guys are the international honchos. I mean, Star Wars Underworld, Scruffy Lookers, podcasters. You guys are doing the world circuit. No, I've been doing. We need to get back on the Salted Pork podcast as well. We'll wrap the Rings of Power up pretty soon. But yeah, my podcast is a bit defunct at the moment. I'm got technical issues. Both of my guys have moved, and their internet's not strong enough to podcast at the moment, so we're a bit down.
Oh dear!
But we'll be back soon.
All right, Catherine, how about you? You did mention you're on the Star Wars Underworld last week, and that's on YouTube and podcast where you can find.
Where are you next week? Coffee with Kenobi or
Star Wars Explained?
No.
Last Points. Where haven't you been actually?
Yet. Nothing is yet. Haven't done the Scruffies.
Well, I could only do it because I took the day off on Monday, and they record it like 8 a.m. Australian time on a Monday morning.
You got the daylight saving.
I got the daylight saving.
5.
Yeah. So so I was on the Scruffy Looking Podcasters with our good buddies, Ed and Jimmy and Chris, and Kev wasn't there, but he's normally there, so I had a good time. So check that out. Always a good time.
Good listen.
Yeah. I'm still Catherine_Neen on Twitter. Currently no plans to leave.
Yeah, same here. That's all I got. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for anything, but let's just ride this out, people. Let's just see what happens. Great. Well, thanks, guys. Catherine, we'll see you next week. Matt, you're more than welcome to ride us through to the end of this, but if you can negotiate the points.
I'll do my best, buddy. I'll do my best.
I look forward to it. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
See you guys.